Yeah, sounds good.
That would be okay. Yeah. 네, 그래서 여기는 지금 그린칙 브루어리고요. 제 앞에 있는 분은 이 그린칙 브루어리의 오너분이신 에반 프라이스 씨입니다. 오늘 한번 이제 요 새롭게 뜨고 있는 웨스트 코스트 IPA에 대해서 얘기를 해보려고 하는데 아주 기대가 됩니다. So can you just talk about you and your brewery very briefly?
So our brewery has been around for 5 years at this point. We're babies in the craft beer industry for sure. We brew a variety of different beer styles, from lager beer, IPA, to mixed culture beer, hazy IPAs, pastry stouts. Like I don't know, there isn't really a thing that we haven't done at this point. So me and my business partner Brian started this brewery together. We're this yin and yang couple that, you know, basically I focus on the sort of creative side, Green Cheek, so I'm the brewer, and I work with our designer on, you know, the look of the place, the feel of the place, and then Brian focuses on the business itself, and there's really a lot of things that I don't have to think about, so that's pretty fun. Yeah, we have 2 locations right now. They're about 10 miles apart from each other. We're opening a 3rd location in 2 months on the right next to the beach, and so I'm excited for that, but I don't know, that's kind of us.
How did you get to make this kind of IPA?
I had a Stone IPA, and I remember this really well because it was sweet and bitter. So it's like, you know, like a fair amount of caramel malt to it, and then lots and lots of bitterness. And I wasn't really into that. And it wasn't until I finally was in a creative role that I could really start changing what that was. And then it also kind of took me a long time to figure out actually how to do it.
So you had the image of it, but it took time to brew it exactly what you wanted.
It wasn't until I think I understood water chemistry a little bit better that it all kind of settled in better. Here in California, we have a really high sulfate, calcium sulfate level. What a lot of brewers have done in order to make that work for them is by using a lot of caramel malt or a lot of sweetness in order to balance out the dryness that the calcium sulfate will bring. On the other hand, what you can do is use calcium chloride to balance out that sulfate. It wasn't until I figured that out that it really started hitting home for me, to where I then started balanced out that profile in the water, and then we have 100% Pilsner malt for our IPAs.
Yes.
And then from there, it was just building that profile the way that you want it. You know, it's continuing to figure out the amount of bitterness needed in order to make it snappy and kind of hit the palate, how much hops to use to create the right amount of resin and stickiness, have a pleasant linger in the beer. And then from there, you know, there's so many other things, but I think those were the main things that I kind of focused on, and until I had more Pilsner-like IPA that was snappy and interesting and fun, but then also lots of aromatics and flavor.
And right now you are brewing a beer with 100% Pilsner malt, this crystal clear. Then do you have any beer that has motivated you before to brew this kind of style?
At the time when so many breweries were making very sweet and very bitter IPAs, there were beers like Sculpin from Ballast Point at the time was so different than anything else out there. I had a Sculpin recently that was trash, but they used to be on. It was incredible and such a great drinking experience. Very pale in color, lots of rich Amarillo character, and then just wonderfully and perfectly bitter and resinous and everything. But the other beers that I think I really resonated with me were the beers from Alpine.
Oh yeah.
Before they were before the Green Flash situation. Man, I mean, then you have Russian River's Wine Pig, Pliny the Elder, and I don't know. I could probably go on and on about other beers for a whole podcast that I think that were absolutely incredible and fun to drink.
How did you get those ideas from?
You know, the more that we experimented with all of these different hop varieties, depending on the hop, there's a different process that correlated to how we're going to use that. Are we going to use that hop on the hot side for these reasons? Are we going to use the top on the cold side for these reasons? But the moment that you smell Nelson Sauvignon as what it should be expressed, white grape, gooseberry, and Sauvignon Blanc characteristics, it's so exciting. It's so much fun. You know, how do you end up using trendy hops is kind of funny to me, because it's the moment you put your nose in the glass and you smell it and you go, yeah, I want to do that again. It's wonderful, right? It's that's it. And so the problem ends up being sourcing those ingredients, and then being the next like hurdle, right? So like you get a little bit from a hop farm, and then from there it's like, can I get more of that? Can I get it like a little bit more, please? And then that continues more and more and more, and so it never ends.
What would be the IPA's next move?
I don't know. I feel like I've been wrong every time somebody's asked me this, so I don't have a good answer to that. But I get the most excited about beers that you can drink more than one glass, something that has a certain amount of drinkability to it. That's exciting and interesting, and like. But I'm old in this industry. You know, it's like one of those things to where like my job is to serve the drinker. If the drinker wants something sweeter, then like I'm happy to make it. You know. I think it's important to continue to recognize that these large batches of beer that we're making aren't just for me. And so like I like to consider myself a brewer that makes maybe 30% of what we make is stuff that I want to drink, and then the rest of what we make is for the customer. I don't think it ever will hit 100%, because then it'll be boring. It'll just be Pilsner or like Helles or something like that, which is fun. Like I like drinking those beers. I want to drink them by the liter, but it's not fun for the customer.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.